Hello YouTube. Today is going to be a quick video, but it's also going to be a very exciting one because today we're going to be upgrading the throttle body. So what is the difference between both of these throttle bodies? Well, this throttle body right here has a larger inner diameter, which is going to allow for more air to come into the engine quicker, which is going to improve throttle response and improve horsepower a little bit. This throttle body, of course, can also be found on other Mazda models as well that have the Skyactiv G 2.5 liter. But the reason for the larger diameter of this throttle body is exactly what you might expect. This is for a bigger engine, and the throttle body inlet on this throttle body is smaller because it is for a smaller engine. The best thing about this mod, though, is that it is completely plug and play because they're both exactly the same. The connector is the same. All of the holes are the same for the bolts, and everything will line up. So this should be a very quick and easy modification to do. You've probably also noticed that I have painted my throttle body. The reason I did this, to be honest with you, is because I figured it would give a pretty unique look to the engine once it's under the hood, and also because it's going to match with my old catch can. So once it's all together, I think it's actually going to look pretty cool. Because we're working with electronics, the first thing to do is to disconnect the negative battery terminal. So to get the throttle body out of the engine, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the throttle body, and then I'm going to unscrew the clamp for the induction hose for the air intake. And then after that, we can access the 4 bolts holding on the throttle body to the intake manifold. Let's go ahead and get started. You're also going to want to detach these hoses. Now that we got both throttle bodies out of the car, we can now see the differences between the 2-liter version and the 2.5 liter version. If we look at the throttle body for a 2-liter Skyactiv, we can see that there is a smaller inlet and a smaller throttle body flap as well. But if we look at a 2.5 liter throttle body, the inlet is bigger and the throttle body flap is also bigger. The difference is more obvious if we take a look at the back of the throttle bodies. So if I put my finger there, you can see that ridge. And then if we look at the 2.5 liter throttle body, no ridge. As stated earlier, you can also see the similarities between both throttle bodies. All the holes are the same, and the connectors are the same. If we look at the little motor plate right here, they're the same. So this should just bolt right up and plug right in. Something I forgot to mention earlier, before you remove the throttle body, obviously you have to unbolt all 4 bolts and the connector, but you also have to unbolt this bracket piece for this coolant line. And with that now tightened down, the throttle body is officially on. Now you're probably looking at this and you're probably curious about this wire. So let me explain it to you. So this custom wire I have is connected to this bolt on the throttle body, and it goes all the way to the negative battery terminal. Now this is called a throttle body ground, and it helps with the throttle body to improve the responsiveness of its movement so that it's more responsive when you step on the throttle. So now with the bigger intake inlet, and in addition to the throttle body ground, This engine should be super responsive. Now it's time to put everything back together. So since I was working on the throttle body, which is connected to the intake, I went ahead and I took my Canon filter out so I could clean it. I did go ahead and rinse it earlier. Now it's time to oil it. All right, now that the air filter is been oiled and dried, let's take it back to the car and reassemble the intake. I don't know how you guys feel, but I think this looks good. All right, so the next step now is to reconnect the negative battery terminal and to do a idle relearn for the new throttle body. All right, so I couldn't find much information on how to do an idle relearn procedure for a Skyactiv Mazda 3, so I'm going to follow the procedure for an MZR model. So the first thing that we would do, obviously, is connect the negative battery terminal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the car to the on position, but before we do that, we're going to put the car in neutral. Make sure our accessories are off. That includes our HVAC, radio, and lights, wipers, all that sort of stuff. Then we're going to turn the car to the on position. And then we're going to slowly push the throttle all the way in, all the way out, 3 times. All right, and that should work. Let's start it up and see what happens. As you can see, it's actually idling normally for the cold engine temp, and then obviously once the engine warms up, it'll drop back down. But that's actually normal, so that's a good sign. And with a new throttle body installed and everything put back together, we are done. Now the only step left is to take this thing for a test drive. All right, so I just came back from my test drive and I am really happy with the results. I don't know how much horsepower I gained out of this, but it certainly feels faster. And there's a lot more induction noise coming from the intake, which is nice. It's actually what I was looking for, and it's a big reason why I decided to go with this mod. I'm going to go ahead and drive this car around for a week, and then I'll give you my final impressions on what I think of doing the 2.5 liter throttle body swap. All right, so after a week, it's now time for me to share my final opinions on the throttle body swap. First off, I do want to say that I'm quite happy that I went ahead and painted it blue because I honestly think it looks really good under here. But now let's get back to the main point. So why would you want to do this in the first place? Well, what we were looking for here is for some extra throttle response, maybe some extra power, and some extra sound. Now, do I think that this mod checks all those boxes? Well, I think that it gives off some extra power. I think definitely some extra sound. I'm not so sure about throttle response in all honesty though. In my opinion, still the best mod for throttle response is going to be the throttle body ground. I talked about this earlier in the video. That seemed to have done more for throttle response than putting on the bigger throttle body. But I believe that if you have not done the throttle body ground yet and you decide to put the 2.5 liter throttle body on it, you might see some results in terms of throttle response. But in my opinion, if that's what you're looking for, I would definitely go for the throttle body ground instead. All right, now, so what about power? Well, just from driving the car around, the car does feel faster. I'm not 100% sure if I made any extra power, but I do notice that as the revs climb, the car just pulls straight through all the way to the red line. There's no torque dip towards the higher end of the RPM. It just pulls all the way through. So the engine basically is just, it just feels stronger. Like it feels like it just wants to keep on going. Now let's talk about the main reason why I personally did this mod, and it was because I was looking for some extra sound under the hood. And I can confirm that still a week later, there's definitely some more sound under here. You definitely get more of that induction noise, more of what I was looking for. And still a week later, I'm pretty pleased with the results. Now let's bring up some concerns you may have about this mod. So what about check engine lights? What about fuel economy? I have not had any check engine codes yet. The car's been driving totally normal, just as if it had the 2 liter throttle body on it. There's been no strange engine behavior, no surging or rev hang or anything like that. And in terms of fuel economy, surprisingly, I've actually gotten better fuel economy by doing this mod. Does the engine probably run a bit leaner? Most likely, but it doesn't seem to be a major concern. Like I said, no check engine codes. The car doesn't really run rough. The engine doesn't surge or rev hang or anything like that. It drives just as if it had the 2 liter throttle body on it, just with some more power. So would I go ahead and recommend this mod? Yes, absolutely. Personally, I would 100% do it. I would not go ahead and go buy a brand new 2.5 liter throttle body. I'm not sure if I would pay the $250 or $300 retail for something like that. Like I mentioned, I bought this throttle body at a junkyard. It was off of a CX-5, or you can get this throttle body off of any of the 2.5 liter Mazdas, Mazda 6, Mazda 3, CX-5. Amongst maybe like some other models I'm not 100% sure about. I think the CX-50 also has the throttle body as well. But yeah, literally this mod has been all pros and no cons. Better fuel economy, better sound, some more power. Throttle response is the same in my opinion, but that's okay with me. The car has plenty of throttle response as it is. Overall, I'm quite satisfied with it. Considering the price I paid for this, I paid $50 for the throttle body. I cleaned it up and I got some paint for it. In all, I would say maybe about $75 overall, and it was very quick and very easy to install. As a result, I'm very happy with what I've ended up with here. But now it's time for me to make an important announcement about this car. This is kind of a bittersweet moment. I've had this car for about 4 years, and the 2.5 liter throttle body mod is the last performance mod that I plan on doing to this car. It has been a fantastic 4 years. This car has not given me any issues. It's been fantastic to drive. It's been dead reliable. It's really good on gas too. And it's just been the perfect car for me at this point in time in my life. I'm a young college student, and this car just, it lets me have fun, and it saves me money too. However, just because that's the last performance mod I plan on doing does not mean that's the last thing I plan on doing to the car. I am considering getting the car wrapped somehow. I'm definitely going to do gloss black mirrors. I would like to do that, but I'm contemplating between doing also the gloss black roof or gloss black door handles. And I think that's going to match really nicely, of course, with the gloss black wheels and the spoiler as well. If you guys are wondering where I'm at right now, this is the same parking lot where I filmed the sway bar video. That's the corner I was taking over there. This used to be a completely empty lot back then. Now it's being used by a rental car company for storage. If you haven't watched that video yet, or any of my other videos yet, I would strongly encourage you to go check it out, especially if you're interested in Mazda 3 content. To celebrate this, I'm now going to take the car out for a backroads run. If you've watched all my videos up to this point, thank you so much for the support. Like I said, if you haven't yet, please go check it out. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.